This is a quick overview of my bending iron that I made to bend guitar sides and little binding strips. I found it really useful, and I kind of stumbled upon it because I was looking to buy one of those professional bending irons that you see on StewMac and LMI, but they're so expensive. It's like 200 bucks. I've checked on eBay. You can get some cheap ones for like maybe 80 bucks or something like that, but I guess if you're searching for this, you probably came across a lot of them already. One of the more interesting ones that kind of sparked my interest was the one where the guy has a piece of pipe and he jams it full of foil, packs it tight full of foil, and then he drills a hole in it. And after he drills a hole in it, then he puts a heating cartridge, a little heating cartridge in there, and that he uses that for the heating element. But it turns out that heating cartridge is actually a heating cartridge that's in a woman's curling iron. So then that made me think, why not just go buy a woman's curling iron? So here it is. I had picked up this curling iron from Marshall's, but I'm pretty sure you can pick it up anywhere. eBay, Amazon, Target, Walmart. It's just a woman's curling iron without the little clip thing. It's just the round tube one. Originally I used it just as is, and it kind of got, like, the coating came off, so I wrapped it with foil just to protect the wood. Originally I just had it clamped straight to the bench and just used it as is, but then I found out pretty quickly that it was pretty flimsy because the body's made out of plastic, and if I kind of bear down on it, it would flex too much and it would break. So I ended up building a little form for it to rest on, just to give it some support from the bottom. It turned out pretty well. I wrapped it in some foil, just that HVAC foil, after I shaped it. Well, with the shaping, all I did was just took the outline and kind of just eyeballed it and gouged it out with a chisel, and then cleaned it up a little bit with some sandpaper. It gives it pretty good support. There it is right there with the foil and how it attaches. Just simply clamp it onto the bench, and then the curling iron just rests on top. I would have loved to have found a little curling iron with a bigger diameter, because this one's like only 1.5 inches, and it works well for like the cutaway and the waist and stuff like that. But I think if it was a little bit wider, I'm pretty sure they make a 2-inch one, but I've had trouble finding it. But a 2-inch one would I guess have more contact surface area with the wood and make it more easier to I guess to bend those little curves. Originally I was going to build a pretty, like one of those little elaborate bending irons, but this was just something quick for me to put together so I can actually get to building a guitar. And it turned out to be a pretty good bending iron, if you call it that. But so this is going to be a kind of a sample of how I go about bending some binding. So just simply clamp it to the bench. It's pretty secure. Once it's clamped on, it doesn't really need any extra screws or anything. It just clamps on. It's easy to put on, easy to take off. And I guess it works pretty much the same way you would use a real bending iron. I just wet down the wood. This is a piece of maple, just saturating it with some water. But the only thing, the downside, is it takes a little while for it to actually warm up to temperature. If you guys are looking to do this, I'd suggest finding a curling iron that has some sort of temperature setting. This doesn't have one. It's just either on or off. And but it gets pretty hot once, like after like 5 minutes or so. But right here, I'm kind of anxious just to bend it, and it really hasn't heat up enough. but it will bend. This is a pretty hard maple strip that I've got. I'm actually using this. It's got a little round over edge because I'm actually using this as the braces inside the sides. And I didn't have any other little scraps, and I didn't want to bend my actual binding yet, because I want to take some time and do it right. But it gets the job done. You know, just slowly and steadily, you know, just work it back and forth, work it back and forth. And one little tip I'd say, if you're just new at this, like kind of me, like I'm new at this as well, but once the wood actually gets up to the temperature where it wants to bend, you can kind of feel it give under the weight. Just that tension, that weight, that the kind of pressure that you're putting on it, it'll actually just start to relax around it. And you can see here, it's a pretty, that 1 inch, the 1.5 inch diameter, it's a little too small. But I guess if you've got a choice to buy the 2-inch one or even bigger, that would be better. But it does get the job done, and you know, slowly, steadily, just bend it around. I guess this is gonna take some, with anything, just some time, some patience, and a little bit of finesse. Practice on some scrap wood first, but I guess if you're just diligent and take your time, you can get pretty good results. So if you're new to my channel, please check out my other videos. I've been putting up videos of my guitar build. I think I got several on there right now, and a whole lot of footage that I need to edit. So I'm going to be slowly but steadily putting up videos and posting them as I finish editing them. Pre-shaping braces. I put the template on, put out all the different braces, and now I'm going to cut them out and just pre-radius them to the 15-foot radius over the back.